Here is a new 4K dash camera by one of the strongest in this area Chinese companies, DDPAI. Is it really one of the best 4K capable car DVRs for less than $200? Let's inspect. Hey, welcome to the channel. Really nice to meet you. Michael is my name, and over here we inspect a lot of cool tech. This is yet another review which I make based on your requests, because around the latest dashcams tested, there have been numerous requests for me to try out the DDPAI Z50, and this is it. Well, at least part of it, because there also is a rear unit. So in this episode, we're gonna thoroughly try everything. We're gonna talk about the hardware, we're going to explore the installation process, the software, basically everything that you need to know in order to find out whether that's the right fit for you. Quick recap of the dashcam videos that I've made in the past years shows that DDPAI's older models, especially the mini series, have received a lot of praising by their users, and given the attractive pricing and pretty functional smartphone app, DDPAI are turning into one of the favorite Chinese dashcam brands. Unboxing experience with the Z50 has been consistent with what it used to be with the previous DDPAI models tested, namely positive. The main box highlights the top features. We know already there's a dual cam system, there's a NAND flash, the option for micro SD, and looks like it covers pretty wide area of visibility around the car. The first box hosts the main unit. It's the front camera where most of the functions are present. It has a display, a few hardware buttons for configuration, the front lens and the sticky mount. Quality feels alright, design is sleek, and it should be one of these discreet dashcams out there. Connectivity-wise, there's the micro SD card slot, a USB Type-C port for power feed or data transfer, and the connector for the rear camera, which is not a must though. You can rely on the front unit only in case you prefer so. Read the user guide, contains everything that you need to know about installing and running the dashcam. From the accessories, here's the USB charger, the cable, 2 windshield folios for easier installation, and a pry tool to help you with hiding the cable. The rear camera is quite basic. We know it from other models that DDPAI use the same unit for. Good to note that for both the rear and the front one, there are spare sets of double-sided tape, so even if you do a mistake with the installation, it's easily fixable. Before we go through this procedure, let's kickstart the analysis by checking the tech specs, because some of them sound quite promising. The Sony IMX415 image sensor with f/1.75 aperture, a Sigma Star chipset, video recording resolution is up to 4K, 25 frames per second, 120-degree field of view on the front unit, advanced low light clarity technology, the special D2 Save emergency storage technology, ADAS support, GPS inbuilt, supercapacitor and no battery, gravity sensor, and a lovely looking smartphone app. Okay, generally about the video recording part, there is nothing too remarkable about this dashcam. Actually, I was a bit concerned about the choice of system on a chip, because they utilize a Sigma Star SoC as opposed to the high silicon chipsets that they were using a bit earlier. Probably that's a consequence of all the restrictions that have been applied to Huawei, because high silicon is one of their subsidiaries. The outcome for us, this body here can record 4K 25 frames per second, which is a bit less than the maximum that other dashcams can do, like 4K 30 FPS. But in terms of overall video performance, I would say pretty solid. The image sensor inside, well, it's a Sony IMX415, which is an 8-megapixel image sensor, pretty solid, and we've seen some remarkable performance by other dashcams in this segment. In terms of optics, very wide aperture, f/1.75, so we expect nothing but really great low light performance, so we're going to check on that as well. I think the most interesting part about this dash camera is the storage solution, because on one side you count on big, up to 128 gigs micro SD card, but on the other hand, if something happens to the micro SD, it will automatically record everything on the internal flash, and that's not one of a kind, but let's say very few models of dashcams actually do this these days. And I'm really curious to analyze the footage, so let's quickly do the installation and then talk about the actual video performance. I've seen online some harsh comments about the installation, but on my end, there have been zero disturbing signs. Take your time with the planning phase because it is good to know where you want to place the dashcam. In the user guide there is a reasonable suggestion: use one of the included screen folios, then carefully adjust the camera, make sure it well sticks to the surface, and then think about the cabling. Okay, if we really want to find something to criticize, the cable management is not perfect, but it feels similar to tons of other dashcams. After you connect a power source to the Z50, it will automatically turn on, and this will happen each and every time you turn the engine of your car on. It automatically shuts down once you turn the car off. Or if you use a special hardwire kit, there could be 24/7 parking surveillance based on time-lapse mode. Installation of such a kit requires better understanding of the car's electrical setup, so if you haven't done it before and don't feel comfortable with it, better get some professional help. Most electricians will easily install it for you, not a must, but definitely quite helpful if your car doesn't spend too much time in a garage or a safe parking place. You can further use the smartphone app to define the best viewing angle. The movable by 20 degrees front lens can be adjusted, the rear unit as well, so just find a good spot to mount it. I would remind you that if it often rains and snows where you are, better put it in the area which is within the reach of the wipers. Now, more footage. It's time to analyze it, and DDPAI once again do not disappoint. I've had serious concerns about the processing by this Sigma Star system on a chip. Reasonless, because sharpness, exposure, contrast, they all look good for a dashcam. With these units, the amount of sharpness is, as usual, a bit higher, but the amount of details, it's a lot. Looks like they've nailed it with tuning the image sensor for daytime performance, and if you zoom 2, even 4 times, it's gonna be full of details. I bet that if you watch this part on a phone, it's gonna be hard to guess that it's a full-time digital zoom equivalent to just 720p. In the meanwhile, you can enable the Advanced Driver Assistance System, in short ADAS, which can warn you about approaching cars or departing the lane. Might come handy if you're driving traffic jams in the city. The low-light footage is, however, the most important part here, because it often is the struggle, especially with 4K sensors of small scale like this one. But DDPAI Z50 lights up each and every pixel in a great way. Just look at the results. Not so many reflections, a lot of visible, distinguishable shapes. Pleasure to watch all of this. Compared side by side with the twice more expensive Black View model from a few years ago, I will let you be the judges and let me know in the comments which of both cameras do you like more. Okay, microphone test, the DDPAI Z50. I'm driving with approximately 45 km per hour. And if you wonder about the microphone quality, this is how the DDPAI Z50 sounds like. The rear unit is also a nice-to-have option, and while it cannot provide 4K video, the Full HD resolution seems to be about right. Definitely low light footage is gonna be a struggle with the lights pointing directly towards the lens. As for configuration and reviewing the videos, there are 2 approaches. The dashcam has 4 physical buttons, which are used for accessing the system menus. However, surprisingly, with the firmware that I have, there is no way to configure the video resolution. You have to do this from within the app. Interesting fact, DDPAI call their operating system P. As for controls from the dashcam alone, there is no dedicated button for making a video as a read-only or emergency. So checking on the app, which I've talked about many times, it's great because it lets you download the videos as if you're using and extracting them from a DVR. Instead of copying multiple files, just find on the timeline the moment that you want to export, select, and do it. There is so much good data available when you do playbacks, including real-time data by the G sensor. So far, it looks like the Z50 has been solid most of the time. This doesn't mean I'm short on discovering drawbacks. As a starter, no easy way to entirely shut the display off, you have to go through a few menus. Most of the time it's always on, and the default animation makes me feel like I'm being watched all the time. Also, the dash camera is lacking quick release mechanism, menus are limited unless you use the smartphone app, and I wish the included charger had 2 ports, one for the dashcam one for charging another device like a smartphone. While the last one is easily fixable, the lack of quick release is quite annoying. But if you don't plan to remove it, because that's kind of the end result, this is how it's unstick from the windshield, I think it's an excellent choice for a good, reliable dashcam. So the question would be, is it better enough than the Z40 in order to consider this as an upgrade? And what do you think in terms of comparison to other similar models, either by DDPAI or 70mi or any other vendor in this price niche? Let me know, comment below, and as usual, more information about the product itself, link to purchasing, and also ways to support this channel are listed in the video description area. Thank you very much for watching this episode here. I'm Michael, been a pleasure to prepare all of that for you, and really hope to see you in our next episode. Bye!